Brother Brian is innocent. Brian has been essentially convicted in the media. He has a right to have this information withheld, brought out in public, so that people can see it's not this neat little package. So people can start to wonder if Brian's innocent. Your Honor, Brian is innocent. So if I talk about things that are in the affidavit, and if I talk about things that we're seeking that the state wants to hide, I think that's fair game for the public to hear.
Listen up, the ashes stir, phoenix wings unfurl, seeking truth beneath the blur. Turnings for the lax to meet the blur. Out the flames I rise, wings scorched but unbroken. Truth the blaze I wield, every rhyme's a token. In the nest we move, hearts stump in unison. Searching for the light where the system cuts our wisdom. Built on lies and steel, they boxed us in cages. Now we break the locks, rewrite history's pages. Innocent until proven guilty, that's the oath we recite. Under this constitution we ignite the night. We rise like a phoenix and sink, we claim the street. Nest seekers united, our freedom can't be beat. Stand up when one falls, yeah we got your back. In a free land unbroken, we launch the righteous attack. Justice for the voiceless, break the chains of deceit. Innocent till proven guilty, our victory's complete. System cracked at the seams, built for just a few. We rip apart the scheme, bring the truth into view. Movement swells like thunder, souls fueled by conviction. Phoenix souls aligned, demanding our new vision. Marching on the courthouse banners, paint the sky. Echoes of freedom roar, watch the old guard comply. No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets sold. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why.
Wow. Hello, welcome everyone. Hopefully you guys can hear me well. Can you? Check audio. For some reason, I sound really loud. Let's see, does that work? Can you guys hear me pretty good? I don't know what is going on. All right, so it sounds good, I guess. Gosh. I have been checking the repository all day to see if Koberger was filing an appeal. I don't think that's the case. I said that before. However, with that being said, remember, midnight is the deadline, but we do see a lot of things that drop today, and people keep asking me, have you seen it? Yes, I've seen it. Yes, I've gone through it. We'll go through it for you, but here's the deal. A lot of these records won't be unsealed until the 19th of September. These are the ones that the state have said, oh, I don't want these to be unsealed. Public doesn't need to see that, but we'll get into that in a minute. Right now, welcome everyone to the live stream. Hello, beautiful nesters. I hope you're doing well on this Thursday, September 3rd afternoon. Patty, or evening, wherever you're located, or morning if you're overseas. Good morning, good evening, Patty. Polka Dots. I like that name. Polka Dots. Amanda's in the house. Les and you mods are in the house. I love it. You guys have been chit-chatting a little while before I got here, haven't you? So guilty. Look at all you people. Amazing. Amazing. I was trying to be super sneaky and wait for the last minute before live. First time in chat. That's funny. All right, guys, let's get started. I just found this profiler. This is interesting. I hope what she just posted is true. She sees new evidence coming forward that will exonerate him. I've been saying that for a while, although I spelled exonerate him in the slide wrong. This is the same slide I used a couple weeks ago. I need to update that. Don't you guys think so? I don't know why it didn't catch the spell check. Oh, I hate that. I will fix it though. Sure as heck. Remember what he said in the beginning. His attorney said he can't wait for the day he's exonerated. And that's exactly what I've been saying. I have felt in my gut he is not guilty. He's factually innocent. And you heard Anne in my opening for the live stream. She said specifically that the state is trying to hide. These records should be public because the state is the one trying to hide all these records. Yep. Stay shame, shame, shame on Santa. No Christmas for you. So let's get started. Here is the actual repository that is at our beautiful community website. Yes, this website. All the autism filings, everything that we're going to talk about, the new filings, some of the highlighted filings, and I don't know why all of a sudden I got hiccups. But on this beautiful website that you can see, there is a call to action. Send them a postcard, a letter, write a book. Just send something. There is the Autism Innocence Project tab, a highlight video tab, which I'm still highlighting and updating, and Koberger court documents that go right to the repository. So you can follow right along with us. You click on that link. It takes a little bit to load because they are in the middle of unsealing some of these documents. So you will need to refresh a few times. As you can tell, it's taking longer than normal. But I do have an open page up, so let me use that one. Don't forget our beautiful website. And for all of you that have donated via the donation link, that is specifically to keep this website up. This website has been shared far and wide. You won't believe the average amount of people that visit our website. It has been anywhere from 600 up to 1,200 people a day. And that is just wild, guys. This is people who want a repository in one place that they can click fast, they can get these records, they can show their friends while they're standing in line at the grocery store. I've had so many fabulous responses. I just can't begin to tell you. It is absolutely phenomenal what we are doing and what we are sharing with this website. Keep that in mind as I go through these records today. I'm going to share with you how to look at these records. It is kind of self-explanatory, but then again, it can be a little confusing. And then remind me, there is a message that I got on the website that I want to share, and I'm going to keep it private. So let me clip this with you real quick, because I want you to understand this is not a common problem in our justice system, folks. This has been going on for a while, okay? Now, if you understand anything about court filings, it can be confusing. So the first document that I want you to go to, it is absolutely labeled Order Regarding Sealed Documents. That is the one that you want to open first. Order Regarding Sealed Documents. And that document right here that I've just opened, hopefully I can get this a little larger for you. This document is an order from Judge Hippler that says these following documents can be unsealed. Okay. Now, this order was dated the 4th of August. And what they did is basically he went back to tell the court, the prosecutor and the defense, I want you to pick out which ones that you want to unseal. And of course, I've showed you that before. And so they basically went back and forth and said, okay, these are the ones that we want unsealed. These are the ones that we don't want unsealed, or unsealed and redacted, right, to protect people. So the order that was placed today was order unsealing and redacting those records. And this was from the court's August 4th order regarding sealed documents. So the ones that are supposed to be sealed are now unsealed per this ruling, and with certain redactions, obviously. So items 2, 4, 7, 10, 12, 19, 20, 33, 34, 38, 39, 42, and 43 are ready to be unsealed and redacting as followed. And this is basically just crossing out birth dates, keeping certain things private, and protecting the persons to be redacted. So there is obviously a guideline here that says number 2, that was the date of July 23rd, 2025, which you've got to go back to the repository and go look at that document that was filed on that day. And that document is not available because they're probably in the middle of unsealing it. right here at the top of this page, it says this page is updated as filings are received from local clerks. So if they're in the process of unsealing that record, it won't be available right now. And that's pretty self-explanatory. You can't get to it. So the next one is number 4 on this list that says 7/9/25 Exhibit S1 states response to defendant's 24 supplemental request for discovery. Now it says this individual identified in this document has already been widely disseminated by the media, and there's no justification to shield her name. However, the individual's birth certificate, yada, 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 will be basically protected. So what was 7/9/2025? We go back to the repository and we look 7/9/2025. States response to request for discovery. Nope. Motion to seal. Nope. That motion is still missing. So it is in the process of being unsealed, redacted, and they will put it back in the repository. So as you can see, some of these are in fact missing from the repository right now because they are in the process of being unsealed. What does that mean? That means you'll have to come back at a later time and see if that document is now uploaded per the clerk. I hope that makes sense. Okay. Now, what have I found so far? There is a document that I found in the repository. Let me make this a little bit bigger. And this was interesting because on 6/9/2025, this was an order. And then typically what an attorney will do is they'll write up an order in regards to a motion, and they'll put a motion separate and they'll put an order in case the judge decides to honor granting the order that they've submitted. And this is hilarious, in my humble opinion, allegedly, because the judge did not agree with this order and crossed out, denied. And he made a little note at the bottom of it. Now, I understand that this document was filed on behalf, hold on a minute. I don't know if they cut it out. They did. They cut it out. I can't see who it was filed by. But if you look at the actual, meat and potatoes of this document, this looks like it was written by Anne, and Anne wanted an order granting admission of additional exhibits as evidence at trial. And Judge Hippler said, nope, we're not having that. Get out of town. And you know where that went, because Anne was asking and absolutely said the court having before it the stipulated motion to admission of additional exhibits as evidence at trial and good cause appearing now, therefore, it is ordered the defense shall be allowed to admit 2 additional exhibits as evidence at trial. Okay. And she specifically said these exhibits D1062, which was the FBI lab report 4, and then it has a number, Bates number. And then exhibit D1063, FBI lab report 12, which labeled a Bates number. Now, she was hoping that Judge Hippler would agree to this being presented in court at trial. Now, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but this was about June 9th. If I go back, and here's little clues, they're breadcrumbs, and I get excited about this because the deputy clerk signed it on June 9th, right at the bottom of this page. Okay. 6/9, the timestamp by the deputy clerk was 6/9/2025. If you go back to the repository, let's go look and see what 6/9 brought us on that date that was filed. And it looks like 6/9, there was quite a few things that were filed. And it looks like motion to seal defendant's second amended 2-phase mitigation witness. No, I don't think so. 6/9, order sealing defendant's motion and order for independent analysis of evidence. That could have been it, but there was a few other ones that were filed on that day. You look at the order sealing objection to defendant's offer of proof. Okay. And then it was the stipulation and order of admission of additional exhibits. So that's what this document was on 6/9. She asked for an order to admit more additional evidence. And then it looks like a motion to seal defendant's motion and order for independent analysis of evidence. And then a new order conditionally denying admission of exhibits at trial. And that is the document that I just showed you that was denying, right here, denying what they were asking for. So apparently, when I go back to the repository and I look at all of these, I think the most likely one that she wanted was the motion and order for independent analysis of evidence. So when I look at this, I think Ann Taylor went out, challenged the FBI lab, got her own independent analysis of evidence, and wanted to admit it into evidence at trial to dispute the FBI evidence. That's what I think happened, in my humble opinion. Okay? So it looks like Anne did her due diligence to go out and double check with a third party analysis. Independent is third party, right? They go outside of the scope of federal. It's a private entity, a company that could be private or public, but they go out to an independent person and they basically say, hey, I want you to take a look at this evidence and I want you to come up with your evidence, so I can go back to the court and we can use your evidence to refute or kind of contradict the evidence that they are now giving us. I hope you guys understand. I hope I haven't lost anyone, because this is really important, because the point that I want to make is that when you see something like this, Anne was hopeful that the judge was going to grant, because she had already made her order granting admission of additional exhibits as evidence at trial. Now, whether or not this was filed in time before the trial was going to begin and jury selection was going to be done, because remember, they already had status conference, they already had hearings. She was hoping to now, once she had independent analysis, can go ahead and say, no, FBI, your process was not correct. This is the actual true finding of a third party, in my humble opinion. So let me know where you guys are in me explaining this process. Did I explain it pretty well? Number one, drop a 1. If you're still confused, it's okay, drop a 2. And if it doesn't matter to you, drop a 3. I mean, I'm here to pump up your brain. Let me pump you up, okay? So, nutshell, in layman's terms, Anne was told, no way, Jose. And the state got what they wanted to put their FBI lab report in with no dispute, okay? That's basically what Christina 1, 2, and 3. That's basically saying, nope, no way, Jose Ann. You've lost this one. We're only going to let the state use evidence, which is unfair. You have nothing to refute. You have nothing to rebuttal. You have nothing to say, well, Your Honor, jury, members of the jury, unfortunately, you're just hearing one side to the story. We have independent analysis. We want to present it to you, but Mr. Hippler says, no, Anne. No way, Jose. Not on my watch. Okay, so you can see how many times Anne was trying to get the truth out there. And I'll go back to my video that it begins. Your Honor, my client is innocent, and this should be unsealed so everyone can see his innocence. Okay? All right. So hopefully we're all there and we're squared away. That is the only one that I have found yet that is actually unsealed. I mean, I've been going through and trying to refresh this website like night and day. Okay. So the next one that they say is going to be unredacted is number 7, which was the notice of filing defendants objections to the juror questionnaire. Well, the juror questionnaire doesn't even matter now because he never went to trial. And when you look at the repository, let me enlarge this for you. When you look at the repository, it's kind of like saying, yeah, Fox Rooster, I hear you, a Fox Rooter, I hear you, free Brian. And I think the truth will be coming out. I believe humbly, in my opinion, he will be exonerated. I mean, is he guilty? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. And you know what? I started adding to our group website the actual documents from his professors saying that basically the professor said, it crossed my mind that it could have been him when I heard all this. But you know what? After the FBI sat down with him, he was like, this guy, he ain't even strong enough. This guy can't even, articulate socially, let alone, the force that someone would, and I don't mean to sound brutal, but I'm being completely transparent and honest when I say that it would take a lot, and I mean a hell of a lot of force for someone to do this to these 4 individuals. Okay? But not only on top of that, think about, and I don't know if you have thought about this, think about Dylan seeing a masked guy, sees his eyebrows, but sees a big nose, and that's all she sees. Okay? Do you realize how hard it would be not to leave any shed of DNA evidence, which they have never found a shed of DNA evidence of Brian Kohberger's? That is like phantom. And if you know anything about DNA and how much DNA we shed tons of DNA every single day. Okay? So I want to preface this with saying I know that many of us have seen the ISP documents and the release of pictures. With that being said, I want to pull some of these pictures up, specifically the receipts. I mean, drop a 1 if you guys have seen the receipts. All his receipts that they have released on the 29th of August. Drop a 1 if you've seen those pictures from the ISP document drop. Because I want to share something with you. I found this very interesting looking at the actual drop documents that they shared in regards to the pictures. And everyone make it seem like, oh my God, he bought jackets and gloves, and this was his first winter in Idaho. I've never been to Pennsylvania. I've lived in winters in Idaho. And I will tell you, the first winter I was there, it was like winter shock. Now, I've lived in Japan in winter. That's harsh. And moving from Texas to Idaho, I will say I had to beef up my wardrobe in regards to cute coats and gloves and stuff of that nature. But when I looked at the documents from ISP and when Kohberger purchased some of these items, these receipts, I thought to myself, you know what? I think he had a cold. I think he stocked up on some jackets and winter gear, okay? Because by the look at some of these receipts and the items I looked up, it seemed to me like he was either had a cold, had to beef up his wardrobe because it was getting colder, and he bought some, I think it was Theraflu or some type of, God, let me look at the document real quick. It was, hold on a minute. Yeah, Big Red. That was a complete fabrication and lie. I talked about that a little while ago. I'm waiting for this picture to pull up so that I can show you suspenders. They weren't suspenders. Walmart, it's funny. I called and I asked the question. They change their SKUs so often, and Dickies changes theirs so often. It depends on the season. So whatever he bought, couple years ago won't show up in the repository. It won't show up online. Yeah, Dexter now. But what about his love for Bundy? LOL. I love it. You chat are amazing. Okay, so when I looked at the receipts, I thought, dude, he was probably cold, layering up. And then I read another report from a colleague, it looks like somebody in his what did they call it? Oh my gosh, cohort or something. They call it something. So when I saw that, she said that he started bundling up in class. And I thought, this dude's cold. This dude's got a cold. And then I saw the receipts and I'm like, this dude had a cold. I know you guys are going to be like, Phoenix, you lost it. No, seriously. I was like, why would he have that type of behavior buying all these jackets and gloves? And then it hit me. Dude was freezing in Idaho. It's a different type of cold, guys. So I'm looking for his receipts and I'm like, holy moly, I think he had a cold or the flu. And, might have even been COVID because people were saying that he was acting weird. Well, I don't know about you. Unfortunately, I had COVID twice. It threw me for a loop. The first time I was asleep for 4 days. I didn't think I was going to make it, guys. I was like out, like down for the count. And if you guys have autoimmune issues, this almost killed me. It almost killed me. Thank you so much, Chappie in the house. Welcome in. You are always welcome here. Everyone is, by the way. So, I thought it was kind of funny when I saw, whoo, this guy had a cold. Did anybody else notice this? Oh, and shout out to Brian Enton that can't read the word dino on a card because it clearly says dino. You're a dino and professor. Someone sent me a screen recording of his video today, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It says dino. I mean, I could read cursive, handwriting, bad scribble, chicken scratch, whatever you want to call it. But, anyways, I'm looking for his receipts just so I could. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so Safeway, and let me turn this around. I don't think it was the Safeway. I think it was the Walmart one. Hold on. And I'm looking at his receipts and I'm thinking, dude had a cold. Clearly had a cold. Okay, so he bought coffee, K-cups, Sig Bowl, Silk, Milk. God, what a criminal. Light Life. I don't know what that was. But I kept looking at his receipts. Bella, thank you so much. What a beauty you are. We appreciate that. And I'm looking at his receipts and I'm thinking he bought gloves, jacket, and some, oh yeah, hair. And anyways, it was a Walmart receipt. I can't find it right now and I didn't document what page it was on because I had been like slammed. So you get the idea, right? They're saying, oh my gosh, he was at Walmart and this and that. Guys, it's not a big deal if you are in the middle of cold and flu season and you buy some gloves and you buy a few new jackets. I mean, come on, ladies, honestly, how many people have you, yeah, with his weight loss, and he might have had a thyroid issue, especially a lot of people are saying he wasn't vegan, he's vegetarian because he had Parmesan cheese, Kraft Parm, uses dairy. So maybe he is a vegetarian, maybe he's not vegan. And, yeah, I got these documents upside down because I was looking at a receipt. Okay, so now the receipts are in there. I mean, I went over them in the 2.5 hour live when this first was released. I believe maybe one or two of the students were trying to solve this mystery by this thing on the board. They were writing, or maybe they knew that he was eventually going to see this and they just gave him some hope, right? That was my thought process. It was so, I mean, if you're going to go out, and I don't mean to laugh, but let me get serious for a minute. If I'm going to go out, which I would never do something like this, and commit a crime this heinous, why would I leave notes on a board? Think about that. I'll pause. I think, in my humble opinion, because we all know John Schneider, once again, runs a laboratory out there at WSU, and he is in charge of governmental studies, right? What makes me think that Pullman may have called and said, look, we need some help. We need to try to figure this case out. It's been 6 weeks and we have nothing. And we have got to figure this out. We've got to figure out a way. How do we know that this department was not engaged of these PhD students that were selected for this position? How do we know that? Did he leave a clue? Did we leave a clue? I don't know. Did he? Maybe they were trying to figure it out. And I will say, okay, I know that people are going to be like, what did she just say? I lived in Japan for 5 years. In the Asian culture, which I lived out into the economy, and I lived on base. But first I lived in the economy and got to know the Asian culture. My neighbor was amazing, okay? In the Asian culture, the number 4 is the sign of death. Yes, I'm going to educate you real quick if you don't know. Now, if you are writing on 4chan, do you know that that is death? 4? Death book? Okay? That's basically what it is. You were writing death on a website. And that is sharing that information. 4chan, most people wouldn't go there if they were Asian. So I don't think that any of the connection would be with Koberger and his Asian fellow colleagues that were working in this department. Okay? If I had a colleague that I was working with, I would definitely not go to a website because you leave a trail. You leave breadcrumbs. Okay? So I don't think it was them on 4chan. I don't think it was Koberger on 4chan, in my humble opinion. Now, when you look at this, you wonder, what the heck? Take it easy, don't give up. Somebody wrote that after the fact. They had to have written this knowing that they were going to come to Koberger's office after they arrested him. They arrested him during the holidays. So somebody shared this office, had a key with him, and one of his colleagues wrote that. Take it easy, don't give up. That's what I believe, in my humble opinion. Oh yeah, Les, the number 4 in Asian culture, you don't use the number 4. That's like bad luck. Bad luck. So I think, in my humble opinion, this isn't a piece to the puzzle. This is actually knowing that Koberger would know. They would take a picture of his office. His colleague left that message for him to see. Take it easy. Don't give up. Got it? In my humble opinion, that's what I think. Now, what else do I think about this message? I think maybe they were trying to solve the crime together. Now, there were people in this cohort of experts with him that loved true crime. Yes, there's more to this, absolutely. But in my humble opinion, they were writing in code to figure this out. There was an individual that I read their statement from ISP with the FBI involved. They said that they were into true crime. Who else is into true crime that you know that is related to Koberger? Would you believe if I told you his mom may be a true crime fanatic? Well, we know his sister is, right? I mean, the clues have been left behind. Don't you think if I'm texting my mom and she's sending me messages about Xana, that maybe his mom was trying to figure out also who did this to save her son? Think about it. I mean, the first person that I would probably text back and forth with would be my aunt, who is like a huge true crime fanatic, or my uncle, who is a former sheriff detective. There's way more to this. It wasn't just one person that was trying to help solve this. September Virgo, thank you so much. Absolutely, thank you. Thank you for all your hard work. You are loved and appreciated. Thank you. I appreciate that. I really am humbled. Now, if his mom is texting him and they are all trying to figure out if his sister is there supporting him and helping him trying to figure all this out, don't you think that it would be okay? I mean, my, mom, my dad, my sister, my whole support group is on the other side of the world, and I'm all alone in a foreign place, and the only way we can communicate, I can't pass a message, is text. Oh man, you guys are so amazing. Look at you. I'm so grateful that I have come across the sweetest heart on the platform. I appreciate you're a superwoman, and I love the Nest for life. You are so awesome, Wicca. Wicca, wicked name. Dylan M, please donate to my tattoo healing journey. You have caused me so love. Oh, Chappie, I love it. I absolutely love it. I need ink therapy too, I'm telling you. I've only got a few, 7, but I need one. No, I don't need any more. My doctor said I can't get any more with my immune issues, because if I do, I can't even get my eyebrows tattooed again, dude. So let me just say this. I know, who is it? Who is it that says that there's so much more? Inside your bones. I know you're a smart individual. I know that you probably have figured it out. I give enough, but I don't give enough to where you guys have to be looking for yourself too, right? We won't dox anyone here. If your name is out there public and you share that, please remove it from any platform if you do not want anyone to know who you are. In this day and age with computers and technology, mind you, I spent 20 years in tech, we give way too much away. Do not have anything publicly out there with your name if you do not want anyone to know your real name. I'm just saying. Patty, you are an OG original. Thank you so much. Now think about this hard. I really want to use our brain cells that we have left here, because this case has confused many. And if you are so confused at night and so frustrated, just give it to God and go to sleep. That's an old saying I've used forever. If you don't believe, give it to Buddha, give it to whoever, and go to bed. Just pass it on to someone else, okay? So, when you look at the clues he's left, has he left any? Not really. Not really. These books, no, they've been used. The 4 books I think he used the most and he read the most in a short amount of time, probably. He knew what he was up against. In my humble opinion, he was given inside information to where he figured it out, and they didn't want him to figure it out. He figured out who the 4 perps were even before he was arrested. And if it's a true statement that he asked, has anyone else been arrested? It's because he knew those person. He knew the 4 perpetrators. He knew, guys. He knew if he had inside information and they came to him and they asked him for help, he knew he was going to be blamed if he solved it. He knew too much. And yes, sometimes that happens to people who knows too much. Okay? He is intelligent. He is like my son on steroids. 10 years ahead of him. Seriously, no joke. Okay? Now, yes, my son's autistic. Autistic individuals are highly intelligent. Socially awkward, highly intelligent. We're talking about the Einsteins of the world. We're talking about the Elons of the world. We're talking about, the Daniels of the world. I've had the privilege to work with a few adults with autism that were so intelligent, guys. So intelligent, just awkward. Okay? Now, when you look at what he was looking at, This was part, I get overwhelmed when I start thinking about this. This was his life. He wanted to catch criminals, not be a criminal. And when I start showing you the statistics, I mean, we could get back on the documents. There's not much that's been released. It'll probably update overnight. But when you start looking at autism in prison, it's phenomenal. And sometimes people can predict their own future. You don't need a computer. You don't need some program to predict, criminal activity. You don't need a computer to, I mean, guys, I was talking about this before these pictures were released. If you have the intuitive and the intelligence to figure out, shoot, this justice system is screwed, we're cooked, then you'll get it. If you've had any experience in the justice system, and I'm not asking you if you're a criminal, a felon, convicted, or anything like that, if you've had any experience in our justice system, drop a 1, because the next question I'm going to ask you is very important. If you have had any run-in with the justice system, whether you were guilty or innocent, drop a 1. I'm not shocked at the numbers that are going to come through. I'm not shocked. If you have had any involvement in the criminal justice system, I'm not asking if you had any civil cases. I'm talking criminal justice system. Whether you were charged or whether you were a friend of somebody in the criminal system, if you were charged, if a family member was charged, anyone, I guarantee you there's going to be more ones than you know, and you're going to be shocked, but I'm not going to be shocked. Okay? Because here's the next question. Was the case dropped, or did you plead? 1 for drop, 2 for plea. One for dropped, 2 for plea. Look at the 50-50 here. I'm seeing 1s and 2s. I'm seeing, yep, I see it. Accused for murder, no gunpowder on my hands. Yep. Somebody accused me of something. I got a special prosecutor. I hired a private defense attorney. The case was dropped, hidden, removed from the repository, even though I could have turned around and sued them for false arrest, this person for lying under perjury. They dropped the case. I call it a hit and run, a deal and seal. They drop it and they seal it so no one will ever know. They do this shit left and right. I'm honest with you about my history. 100% honest. I knew I was innocent. I was ready to fight to the death. But again, I was not charged with murder. I was charged with petty theft. I was, guys, you're not going to believe this, and I'll prove it to you. I was charged with stealing my own windows in my house. The windows that I bought and had receipts for. Someone accused me of stealing my own windows. And because this individual was believed to be honest in the community, they believed them and charged me. Misty Macy, thank you so much, honey. We appreciate you. Make sure everybody likes and says something very sweet. That's amazing. Thank you. Yep. I had to go back, prove myself innocent, even though they arrested me, humiliated me, riddled me publicly. And then I turned around and showed proof of the windows that I bought, that they were my windows. Can you believe that? That's how corrupt Canyon County in Idaho is. Can you believe that shit? You don't think that these good old boys are corrupt? They are. They are. They believe someone and then they run with it. Now, I understand the criminal justice system from experience. Experience I didn't want to have ever. It is terrible out there. That's why I say don't get Kobergered. Don't get Kobergered, guys. Be on the lookout. Okay, so let's do this. I have a amazing person in my corner that has shared with me a statistic. And I want to share this statistic with you. But first of all, I want to share this that somebody has written in to the website anonymously and wanted me to share this with you because I was blown away when I read this. It happens. If you have a story you want shared, send it in. Let me just grab it real quick. I was dumbfounded. I was actually heartbroken for this mother. Here it is. All right. Let me put this up on the screen for you. I mean, it breaks my heart when I see something like this. Because you know what? There's no rhyme or reason behind this. Where did it go? It is just one of those things that you see it, you read it, and you're like, what in the world have we come to? All right, here it is. This is what, I just clicked off of it. Hold on. Sorry, guys. It's been kind of a day like that for me. Where did it go? Here it is. I don't know how much you could read of this, but hopefully you could see it. This is the message that was sent. My son with autism was arrested for DUI. He was in a parking lot, refused to answer questions, and refused blow test. They had him in 4-point restraints for 5 hours trying to draw blood. I have all police body cam from DMV. The system is not set up for our kids. I would like to share his story with you. This was sent in from the website. There is a way to send a message in the website. You can send one anonymously. But this is terrible. More police departments, more firemen, they need to be trained in autism. This is what gets kids, adults, young adults with no violent tendencies in prison. Not just in jail, but in prison, folks. Because there is a communication error. They don't understand. I'm going to tell you a true story. I'm going to tell you a big, huge, true story. And to this mama that sent this, we are sending you our love. I don't know the rest of the story, and when she's ready, she'll share with us. But this is how it began. This is how it began. Now, everybody knows what a welfare check is, correct? Police come to your door. They want to make sure somebody in your house is cared for, fed, well, not abused, loved, and understood. I sure hope you guys are following me. And typically when they go to do a welfare check, it has to be either someone in relation to you, not just a random stranger. I know of someone who came to their house, their son was autistic, and he freaked out. He didn't understand why men in uniform, which typically don't come to your house on a daily basis, are standing at the front door and they want to talk to you. It's like an instant instinct that, oh my God, they think I've done something wrong. And they get scared or wigged out. And then all of a sudden it becomes escalated to where they have a child in restraints. Yes, this happens. This happens, guys. It just blows my mind. And then we have this. Here's a statistic of ASD and crime. This is a mock data analysis report. Why is it mock? Because they don't know the actual numbers that contribute to this yet. This is like a scare tactic, right? It is, Wicca. It is. And it's really sad that it happens more than we know on the news, because this is one of those taboo things that you don't talk about. It's hush hush. Police don't make mistakes, right? This is a report on ASD and crime, and it summarizes the analysis of a mock database designed to model how ASD, autism spectrum disorder, severity and age may relate to criminal justice involvement. And the data is synthetic, but it's for demonstration only. So this was a wide study, a mock-up data, which basically said that level 1 ASD is less likely to commit crimes. Okay? So does anybody know what Brian Koberger is diagnosed, what level? Does anybody remember? Anybody? Okay, so he's diagnosed at a level 1. All the documents are right here on the website. You can go see at Justice for All. This is the web. Hold on. This is the data on the website. If you want to go see, you can download all 333 pages. In this document, it states that he is in fact a level 1. And what does level 1 means? What does level 1 mean? Not means. It basically means on a level 1 that you are, how do I want to say this politically correct? Gosh. Big Red, thank you, baby. I worked corrections for 10 years. The way some autistic babies are in there for nothing is horrible. Absolutely, but not just that, Big Red. I'm talking about juvenile detention too. Juvenile detention is just as worse for the youth than it is for the adults, because that's where it begins. If they don't know what to do with kids at that age and understand them, I mean, I've had somebody not be able to handle my son, and his dad and his stepmom sent him to juvenile detention. And I've had them call me and say he doesn't belong here. Well, I can't. My ex has parentally kidnapped my son, has hid him for 4 months. I had to hire a private investigator to find where they were. And lo and behold, he's in juvenile detention, trying to find me because I lived in another state. Yes, folks, this shit happens. And I fought like hell to get my son back to me and won against the state. So I know what it's like firsthand. Juvenile detention is not made for those with autism. Neither is prison. I've known plenty of people in prison with autism. So, level 1. When you look at level 1 autism on this graph, I'm going to go back to this graph real quick. When you go back to level 1 autism, okay, level 1 autism is basically, yes, there's impairment, gosh, I'm just like overwhelmed. My brain just went to, okay, so level 1 is mild, without intellectual or language impairment, okay? And it's very easy to not know that somebody has a level 1 impairment, because this is what it looks like to me. They do great in school. They're highly intelligent. They have very, uh, it can be misread. Their traits can be misread. Okay. In academic settings, they could be seen as either arrogant, rude, sexism. But how they're treated in the criminal justice system is that they have flat affect, means they show no emotion. And that's usually seen as guilt or lack of remorse in the criminal justice system. I've seen this, right? And even in Koberger's case, you can see how the defense, in those documents I just showed you, you can download, his defense warned that jurors might see his courtroom behavior with limited eye contact, stiffness, flat affect as, just guilt, riddled with guilt. There's no way he could have sat in the courtroom for 3 months or even got on the stand. And once you understand all those cues, then you'll understand why he avoided going and sitting through a trial, even though he knew more than not likely he could be found not guilty. Because it's awkward. It's just that social presence. They already tried him in the media. And there was no way that the defense knew they were going to be able to overcome this. So when you look at this chart, he falls in a level 1. You could look at level 2 and level 3. We don't need to go over what they are. But at a level 1, very low percentage of violent crimes. And on the Autism Innocent Project, you can go to their website. It explains so much more. But shout out to my amazing girl that is the ABA therapy. You know who you are. You sent this to me. I greatly appreciate it because she's been doing her homework. She's been doing some research. She says, I found this. You've got to share this. I'm like, I'm on it. Now, see the blue? That is ASD level 1 sex crimes. This is the crimes by category by ASD severity level. And then the yellow is property, burglary. Green is other. Look at the blue for drug related. That is huge for ASD level 1. And when I see this, in my humble opinion, with experience in this area, it looks to me like self-medication. Typically, if you're not medicated, this looks like self-medication because there's so much going on in ASD. Absolutely. Synthetic drugs are dangerous. Even those who say, I just use it to take the edge off. Taking the edge off can actually cause psychosis. And I've seen this in other adult ASDs. I've seen this. Self-medication is very dangerous. Usually they do put you on a controlled medication to assist with ASD and other things because you can't fix autism. It's just a neurodevelopmental trait, and you can see it on scans. You can definitely see it in brain chemistry. So it's not something that you can just say, oh, well, you need to be medicated for life on certain medications. I mean, sometimes you just can't do it naturally. So, and then the level 1 arson is higher. Well, probably level 2 is a little bit higher. So you're looking at a couple of different things here. You're looking at somebody with ASD level 1 and you think, wow, this person is less likely to commit a violent crime, more likely to have some drug issues or sex issues, because obviously not just drugs, sex is also an outlet, right? Self-medication, outlet, sex, that's basically almost in the same level. Less likely to be involved in burglary or, stolen property or damage to property. And this is all a mock data analysis. So when you look at these charts and you think, wow, I know somebody with autism, where do they fall? Well, this is a mock data because they don't have real data. It's sad. And here is another slide that she sent me in regards to conviction rates. And this is something that didn't shock me, but it did kind of make me think, wow, this is wild that other people are looking at these rates and thinking the outcome of conviction rates by ASD severity. And those that are on the more needier levels, I would say, in my humble opinion, level 2 and 3, they are more likely to be convicted of a crime they did or didn't commit. And that's common. So common, it's wild when you start looking at this. So when they say autism in prison is difficult, it is, because many of those people, just like you heard in the chat here, they have no way to deal with these people. So what do? If they're convicted of the most, how do I say this, heinous of crimes, they know these individuals with autism will be locked up 23 hours a day. They know that they can control them and not have to deal with them. And this is the very sad part. And if you were on the live last week when we did an autism panel, you heard my guests say, typically they will kind of retreat, and it's very difficult for them. It is sad. It is sad. So when you look at level 1 individuals, the conviction rates were highest among level 1. And then level 2 showed lower conviction rates, possibly reflecting, obviously, like I talked about earlier, case dismissal, diversion, or competency challenges. And the harder it is to get them to go to trial, to get them to sit in trial, the lower their rates were for conviction. Because honestly, our justice system didn't want to have to deal with those. This mock analysis illustrates how linked justice health databases could inform understanding of ASD-related patterns in crime, in recidivism, and court outcomes. Real data should be interpreted with caution, ensuring ethical safeguards and context-specific interpretations. So basically, it was all mock data because they really don't have the data. But with more autism on the rise, 175% rise, that is what Ann Taylor put in her statement to the judge. And Judge Hippler was like, oh well. Oh well. What can we do? I want to show you something that kind of shocked me. I'm sure it won't shock you, but I just want to show you this for the record. Hold on.
Go Idaho Police Chief Anthony Dellinger sharing new details about the investigation into the 2022 murder of 4 University of Idaho students. He sat down with our own Fox News contributor Paul Morrow in a Fox and Friends exclusive interview. Take a look.
In 2022, when the task force was formed to investigate the Koberger case, what was your role at the time?
At the time, I was our services division commander. I was a rank of captain, and that position oversees our investigative unit.
What was the feeling inside the task force as far as whether or not you were going to get there, whether you were going to solve this thing?
Yeah, the feeling, it was palpable. We were all on the same sheet of music. We had the same drive, the same fire in our belly.
So let's go to the night of. All right. It's November 13, 2022.
This happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
Shortly after the call came in, and didn't expect to hear what I heard on the other end of the line, that we had not only a homicide, but we had a quadruple homicide. 4 U of I students were killed, and my initial reaction was disbelief.
Heavy crime scene for you guys. Mm-hmm. Did you go to the scene?
Immediately.
So, Chief, we're here at the site. Obviously, the house is gone. Where was the camera that had that video and audio that ended up being so dispositive?
It was on the front side of that house right there.
This house here?
Yep, on the other side.
Pointing at the intersection?
Correct.
And that's I would assume how you knew a white Elantra was something of interest to put out. After he does the three-point turn that you guys captured on the camera, Brian Koberger comes up this driveway and parks in this parking lot, and then essentially surveils the victims from a vantage point up here before making his way down into the back door.
Correct.
And these trees are a lot thinner. And from here, you were looking right down through these trees into the second floor of the home. And those sliding glass doors that were not locked.
Correct. We did have information, obviously, at the onset that we thought he'd come in and out from the back door.
Right.
We had the back door was ajar when we arrived. Dylan's testimony about seeing him heading in the direction of the back door. So that obviously led us to this area.
So you can go and you can look and see some of the people that are housed in this prison. And when you look at this, yeah, my mute was on. When you look at this, you're thinking, yes, he's locked up 23 hours a day. Yes, he's probably on a routine, which most autistic people need. And he is housed with the most dangerous people that you could imagine. Mix 106 is a local radio station that has this on their website. You can go check it out. And he is in there with some of the most heinous crimes. This guy committed 42 crimes, Thomas Creech. If you don't know anything about him, go look. Go look. 42 murders. Robin Rowe, first degree murder. She murdered her son and her husband by arson. Gerald Puzo, he's in there. This guy is interesting. Arson. 2 victims. Horrible things. This guy unalived a police officer, bank robbery. I mean, it is a really heartbreaking situation to be in. And this is the video.
Right now, we're at the IDAHO Maximum Security Institution in B Block, and we're on Tier 1 in cell 25.
This, by the way, is B Block. This is what his jail cell looks like.
And this cell is a long-term restrictive housing cell where we house administratively segregated inmates.
So can you walk me through, how is this cell different than what a general population inmate is?
In a general population cell, there would be 2 bunks, and that's the difference as far as the structural makeup of the cell. It's the same as this.
Is it the same size?
Yes.
What is the dimensions in here?
10 by 12, I believe.
Okay. The bunks, when there's 2 cells, one is of a higher elevation, or there are 2 beds?
They're one on top of each other.
Okay. The reason I ask, of course, is the suicidal watch. I would assume it's easier to hang yourself from a higher elevation, really.
We've actually had inmates strangle themselves by tying on and then laying down underneath the bunk. So they're be facing the floor and have the ligature point, on the bottom of the bunk.
Okay.
We've had that happen before during my time.
Okay. How common is it, unfortunately, for an inmate to commit suicide?
Once is too much as far as I'm concerned, really. I mean, that's the hardest thing I've ever had to do as a warden, is to call somebody's loved one and tell them that their loved one had taken their own life. Once is too many as far as I'm concerned. We haven't had one here, knock on wood, in about 2.5 years, so
Okay.
I'm very glad about that.
Okay.
We've had attempts, but we haven't had a successful one in about 2.5 years.
Well, for me, AdSeg turned into an opportunity. And so I know there's a lot of negative, ideas about solitary confinement, administrative segregation. And I think, personally, just through experience personally for myself, it was a great experience. It was an experience to get away from, the pressure, the expectation of this side of society. Now, I had an opportunity really to change, to change the way that I thought about life, change the way that I thought about who I am, change the way that I thought about, the next, at that point, 10 years left of my time. And AdSeg gave me a lot of opportunity to really, discover some things about myself. But I also know that AdSeg too, when you go to AdSeg, it's different because your usual punishment, there's an end in sight. When you come to prison, you have a fixed sentence, and that fixed sentence is done at a certain point, and so there's light at the end of the tunnel. Administrative segregation, they don't give you a fixed time. They don't give you a certain amount of time. You made some bad decisions, and so your time starts without light at the end of the tunnel necessarily. Now you may do a year, you may do 5 years. Doherty did this last time 6 years, and I know people have been back there for 10 years or more. And so I think psychologically that can have an effect on somebody.
Absolutely. I think psychologically it would have an effect on anybody with or without ASD. What are your thoughts about that? Drop a 1 if you think that autism in prison is hard. I mean, obviously, he may not file for an appeal. He may just wait to find new evidence when all this information is released, or people help him and file for post-conviction relief and be exonerated, exactly like his lawyer said in the beginning, which I think he has more of an outcome and more of a positive effect if he can file a PCR and show new evidence claiming his innocence. Then the state of Idaho will have to release him. Because that's what a PCR is. It's basically saying, hey, you're holding me against my will, and I am, in fact, innocent. I couldn't imagine. Yes, he's playing a long game. I've said he's playing a long game from the beginning. You know how we know? By the books he was reading. I think he knew they were going to frame him. I think he knew in the beginning if someone had asked him to help solve this murder as a group effort and he figured out the individuals, I'm sure they had to do something about him. And that makes more sense to me. That's how they got his name than just a random guy on the street. They had to have known. They had to have known. Folks, drop a 1 if you are in it for the long haul, because I will continue sharing this story far and wide every single day. My commitment, and that's who I am. I advocate for the innocent, but not only that, I advocate for our civil and constitutional rights, because it is ingrained in my history, in my family's history, in our blood, that we love our country and our fellow man, especially if you've been railroaded by those who are supposed to be in authority that have taken the oath of office in any capacity. I know you guys feel me. I'm passionate about what I do. This is not the first case I've advocated for. You can go back. I've got about 36,000 followers on TikTok. I have advocated for many people. And I will update the website with everyone I've ever advocated for. I've worked with law enforcement in the past. I no longer do today out of choice. Many of you know that when I was in nursing school, I worked for a private investigator who let me work under his license. Did you know that you can work under someone else's license? Yes, you can, before you get your own. Yes, you can. So for me, giving up is not an option. You are absolutely right. Somebody is reading my mind. Patty, giving up is not an option. And I do hope that if Koberger's mom or dad or sisters or even himself is watching, know that we are watching you, and we hope that you do win. Be well. Thanks for dropping the link, Christina. Everyone should be passionate that has taken the oath of any office to defend our Constitution from foreign and domestic enemies. And right now, in this day and age, unfortunately, our enemies are in charge of our communities. Think about that. Let that marinate. Absolutely, every night I say a prayer for him and his family and all those who are innocent in prison. Love you guys. I know many of you rushed off to go see Birdie. Enjoy your lives and be well. I'll see you back here tomorrow at 3:45 Pacific Standard Time. And as always, I appreciate every single one of you. Be well.
No more hidden verdicts, no more secrets solved. Every voice is a weapon, every story be told. Innocent till proven guilty, that's our final decree. Under this Constitution we stand forever free. Phoenix in the dawn, truth ignites the sky. Together we stand tall, no more asking why.